All right, episode 64 of the Odd G's podcast. Harry Mays, Jason Martinez. We'll have our special guest, Brian Boosh, coming up in a couple of minutes from South Florida. He's doing the Cup final. Harry and I were just talking, and I couldn't get to the, go live button quick enough because we started doing the show before the show.
Right. Well, I was singing too when you brought me on, actually, because you're always playing music in your studio when this starts, and I log in and I'm sort of sitting there in the bullpen or in the green room, if you will, before you fully bring me on, and I can hear the music that you're playing. Usually it's something by Tool or Metallica or something really heavy.
Often. Yeah.
But today it was my speed. It was Yacht Rock Radio, and you had Looking Glass or The Looking Glass and the classic Brandy.
Yeah.
Which I know every word. I even knew when it was recorded, where the band was from, a similar song by another band. And when that came out, talking about King Harvest and Dancing in the Moonlight. I mean, this is right in my wheelhouse, Martinez.
Yeah, and you dumped. You did a news dump of Brandy and Looking Glass knowledge right here in the pre-show. Now, let me ask you first, the reason why, like we do it on this platform called StreamYard, and when everybody logs in, they're like backstage, if you will,
right?
Until I bring them onto the screen. So I always have a little music playing. So when people come to my waiting room, at my office here online, in my virtual studio office, I figure I could at least dignify them with a little entertainment to feel welcome and know that their audio's working and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a good move by me, huh?
It's a great move by you. I think you're the only one that does it with whom I work with. But I love how you can show the video too here, because we have Mr. Lurie, who's the lead singer and the founder, I believe, of the Looking Glass. Look at the shirt, how he's got the shirt tied. I mean, how great of a look is that? No belt. Yep. And he's got the shirt tied at the button like my wife does. My wife does that with her shirts.
Yeah, that's what Daisy Duke would do with a shirt, Harry.
Right. My wife doesn't have it. I wish my wife would have it open like that as much as Mr. Lurie, but because I think that's a good look for a woman, not for Mr. Lurie.
This guy, he looks to me like a mixture of Alice Cooper and Spike Eskin.
I was thinking Alice Cooper, no doubt about it. Yeah,
I think earlier in the video when you see him, okay, let me see. I'll go back. Let's see.
And it serves
100 ships.
Look how ugly that fucker is.
Oh, I know, but that's what you looked like in the 70s when you were a rock.
Yeah. His eyes are all droopy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. He may make a top 10 list of ugliest singers in rock history.
He might. Not everybody looked like the Bee Gees. You know what I'm saying?
Barry Gibb.
Yeah, right. Andy Gibb. I remember Andy Gibb, the youngest brother.
Yeah, he was the one that quit, didn't he?
Yeah, but he died too. I think all he did was cocaine and drink vodka. And he was like on the cover of all those Teen Beat, Tiger Beat, 16, all those magazines that were really popular when I was a kid. Mags. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, this guy, Ellie Lurie, not Jeff Lurie.
No, I don't know. I don't think they're related either.
He may make the list, but at the top of that list, like we don't even put this guy so ugly on the list. He just it's his namesake list, and that would be the one and only Tom Petty hair.
You think
he's a great musician, everything. I know.
He's not that ugly.
Oh, hair.
He just has big teeth.
Big teeth. I mean, he looks like he got hit in the face with a sledgehammer.
Oh my God. Now you're thinking of Jake Voracek.
Well, yeah, when you're talking about hockey players. Yeah, I mean, there's a few beauties there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Zabinajad or whatever for the Rangers.
Oh, yeah, he looks Neanderthal. Oh. Mika, the Finn Harry.
Is that?
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
And we had a Finn on the show last week.
We did.
David.
Some big guess here. David Usickinen. What a pain in the ass it was to keep spelling his name and all the promotion I was putting
I know.
Oh, man.
I'm lucky I have that in my phone, like him in my phone so much, I guess, that whenever I start to type the first two letters, it automatically pulls it up. So, I don't have to do that.
You got the autofill with Usickinen added.
Yes, Usickinen added.
You know, the funny thing about my phone is every time I try to type heart, like for Carter Hart, it changes it to ha.
Oh, it does? Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, yeah, Brian Boucher is going to join us in just a couple minutes. We'll talk to Bouch about the Cup final, obviously about what happened yesterday with the Flyers, and Provorov won't see him no more.
No, how about that? Danny Briere making a big move right out of the gate.
Yeah, that's what you call a big Stones move too. It's a complicated 3-team trade, some retention for LA, the third team. They took on some salary dump.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's kind of like an NBA
we'll
deal.
Send you this, you send us that.
Right, it was kind of like an NBA deal.
It was.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Complicated. You know, had Danny not gone back to school at the Wharton School of Business, Harry, and get the executive MBA program, he would not have been able to pull that off.
That's
By the
right.
way, Wharton, you should advertise on this podcast.
No,
Harry and I could not get into Wharton.
No, we could not. I can only drive by it. That's about it. But we got a lot to talk about today. I sent you this story. We'll get into it after we speak with Bouch, but the Nevada sex worker that retired at the age of 76.
Yeah,
you remember me sending that?
The claim is bullshit, though.
54 years in the business.
Jesus.
We'll get into that. I know Bouch doesn't want to be connected to that, so I'm not going to start. With that, we'll just tease it.
There is something that I sent you too that I want to ask Bouch about.
Oh, yeah, the sports list, like the most difficult sports.
Yeah, I think it was it ESPN that put that out, Harry? Was that?
They ranked the degree of difficulty for 60 different sports from hardest to easiest.
Yeah. And I think that's interesting because the one that came in number 1, and we'll discuss this a little bit, I want to ask Bouch about it, was actually boxing. Hockey came in number 2, so naturally I was outraged.
Oh, yeah, outraged? You should be happy. Number 2 out of 60?
Yeah, well, number 10 was rodeo steering or something. But I imagine that'd be hard as shit trying to corral a big old bull. I tried to corral a few of my college days, Harry, late night.
Rodeo steer wrestling. Yes, you're correct. I think it's like in the top 15 or so.
Yeah. Let's get to him right now, Harry. He is joining us on the road because he's covering the Stanley Cup final, doing national radio. He is a former NHL goaltender, a good guy. He's got a son in the NHL. Tyler was a 10th overall pick of the Ottawa Senators. The pride of Woonsocket, Rhode Island. It is Brian Boucher. Bouch!
What's going on, Jason? How you been?
I mean, dude, he's not showing the hair, Harry.
I know.
He's got some of the best hair in the biz.
Yeah, he's got a flat brim hat. There it is. There it is. That's good lettuce right there.
Bouch, did you ever go through the NHL? I think there's always a phase with young NHLers where they all grow this big flow, and then when they start to mature, they tighten that shit up.
Yeah. I think when I was probably in the minors when I was playing for the Phantoms, I think I came up my first year. I had a lot of long hair in the back, but I hated it. Yeah, I hated it. I cut it right after that when I decided I needed to grow up a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Who was the goaltender of, you know, like back in history that you thought might have had the greatest head of hair? Because I don't remember the hair on goaltenders like I do other players.
Oh, I remember Eddie Belfour when he played for the Hawks. First of all, his mask was unbelievable. Eddie the Eagle, that eagle mask. That he had. And then he had the long curly hair coming out the back, and he had his jersey tucked in the back. He had his style was unbelievable. I just remember the long hair, and he was awesome. He
had a proper mullet.
Yeah, it was a mullet. Yeah. I don't know how it was. I don't know how it was up top, but in the back, coming out the back of the mask, I thought it was awesome.
Oh, it was a party in the back, but business up front.
He played for the Stars too for a while, right?
Yeah.
I remember him with Dallas.
Yeah, he played with just about everybody. Did you ever have any dealings with him, Bouch? Because he was one of the most intense guys ever.
No, I never. I don't even think I've met him, to be honest with you. And probably played against him. I don't know, maybe a handful to maybe 10 times. He finished up. He would have finished up in Florida, I believe, right? I think he Toronto, and then I think he went to Florida. He bounced around a little bit there at the end, but he was a heck of a competitor, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of Florida, I know they're up against it now, down 0-2, heading home here in the Cup Finals. But since they were down 3-1 to the Boston Bruins in round one, they have been on an incredible run. How do you sort of summarize what the Panthers have done here in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's a bit of a Cinderella story, really. I mean, kind of reminds me of the team that I played on in 2010 with the Flyers. I think expectations for that team to start the year were high, and I remember for us with the Flyers, it was high because we had picked up Chris Pronger in the offseason leading into that year, and we had a pretty good team with Richards and Carter, Gagne, Briere, Hartnell. Like the expectations were high, yet we were stumbling along that whole season, just couldn't get our acts together, and then we got in the last day of the regular season, and we go to the Stanley Cup final. So I think for Florida, same type of thing. They were stumbling along and dealing with some injuries, new coach, trying to figure out how they're gonna get the idea of what they were doing when they made the coaching change and fired Andrew Burnett and hired Paul Maurice was that they wanted to play a style that was more conducive to playoff hockey. And they were a team that the year prior, they just outscored their problems. I mean, they scored over 4 goals a game, and they were fun to watch, but it didn't turn out to be the way you need to play come playoff time. And so they made the change, and they really had a tough time figuring it out. But they figured it out at the end of the year. Alex Lyon, who filled in for an ill Sergei Bobrovsky, did a great job. And it just goes to show you that timing is everything sometimes. I mean, you just got to play well at the right time of year to get in. But now for Florida, the tough part is that with a 10-day layoff in between series, they've had a tough time getting their game back up to speed where it needs to be. And that can be difficult sometimes when you take a 10-day break. It's just hard to get back on that wave and play the way you were playing before. And I feel like in the first, I thought game one, they were good and probably deserved a better fate in that game. They were in it, even though they lost 5-2. In game two, they were blown out of the water. So, they've got to find a way to catch this moving train and get one here in game three. And to me, an absolute must win for them.
Yeah. I got a text from Harry in that game too, saying that Vegas is destroying Florida.
Yeah.
The thing is, Boosh, is the crazy part about this with Florida in the final is there was a game on April 11th, last week of the regular season, Tuesday night at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Penguins lost 5-2 to the lowly Blackhawks. And what that set in motion, that innocuous game of 1 of 82, set in motion the Penguins not to make it, Hextall and Burke to get fired, and then Florida backs in, and they kick the crap out of Toronto in 5 in round 2. That causes their GM to get fired. He ends up in Pittsburgh because Chicago ends up at the third worst record because they won that game. They get Bedard. Like there's all these trickle downs from April 11th in Pittsburgh, and you see it in the Cup final. But when you talk about it with Florida, like it seems to me like they're trying to manufacture energy and just be insanely physical. Is the series a bit of a throwback in the physicality that's going on? Because Tkachuk, when he's on the ice, you better have your head up because he will punish you. It doesn't matter if you're Eichel or whoever. And he's just such a throwback player.
Feels like it. I mean, I really enjoy that style of hockey. I think it's entertaining. I think it's the one thing that's lost in the regular season. You just don't see a lot of it anymore, right? Games like this. I mean, we tout the speed and skill of these guys now in this league, and it's great. It's don't get me wrong, I like seeing that, but come playoffs, I mean, I love seeing a physical, punishing style of hockey, and that hit by Tkachuk was clean. I mean, Eichel admitted to it. He stumbled. He saw him coming at the last minute. Fortunately for him, he's able to get his head out of the way because he has those neck issues. But Vegas is a throwback team too. I mean, you look at their defense. I mean, they're big. They're physical. Their fourth line is physical as well. But on top of that, they can skate and they're mobile. That's the modern side of what they are. Maybe in the old days, some of those big guys that were punishing guys, they couldn't move all that well. So they had to really go out of their way to try and get somebody, or you had to be in the wrong spot to get killed. But these guys now, I mean, the back end for Vegas, they're mobile, they're big, they can get in shooting lanes, and they play. They're not backing down. I feel like for Florida, like you mentioned it, they were going out of their way to manufacture this stuff. I think they had to do that after a 10-day layoff. it's important that, you get engaged early, and so that means you may have to go out of your way to find some of those confrontations to kind of, give you a little smelling salts to wake up and get into the series and get that hatred going. But in saying that, I think in game one, they lost control. And now I think what they've got to do is they've got to find a way to play whistle to whistle. The penalty by Lomberg in the first period, like, that's a bad penalty. That's a dumb penalty. You don't need to take that. You know what I mean? And he ended up paying the price for it, right? They score on that power play, march those scores. And then same thing with Montour. Montour's engaged with Duclair on the wall. There's no reason to go in there and finish him, high, with that hit. So to me, I get it. Maybe you want to try and play that physical style, but you also got to understand your opponent in Vegas, one of the most disciplined teams we've seen in a long time. They just don't take penalties, and they don't retaliate. So I think for Florida, they got to do more of what Kachuk did on Eichel and leave it there. Like, just if you smoke a guy like that, get out of there. Don't even let them chase you around trying to get you back. Maybe you're going to suck them into taking a penalty, but easier said than done. I mean, I think when you get frustrated, sometimes the emotions get the best of you.
Yeah, you brought up the fourth line. I mean, they are so deep, this Vegas team. I think 9 different guys have scored goals in these first 2 games. That's remarkable. But Jason and I have been going back and forth with this over the last couple of weeks. I think there's something to this where these teams with no state tax, are able to offer, players, different kind of money, and they're able to build that depth. You buy into that?
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the reason. I never really thought of it that way.
You can pay a player less money and they bring home more, Boosh.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I think it's just good scouting, personally. I mean, you get a player that can skate and can play. Not every team can have that guy that can be effective that way. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to build your team to have an identity. And this league is a copycat league, so everybody's going to try and find a fourth line that, like Nick Waugh and Keegan Kolazar and Will Carrier. Like, it's a good line. Like, Carrier plays hard, he plays physical, but he's got pretty good skill too. Kolazar too. These guys can skate. So if you can skate and you are physical, you're going to be able to catch people and be able to kind of play that style of hockey. But yeah, I don't know if it has to do with maybe the fact that you can offer them less and get more out of them. I never thought of it from the state tax point of view. I just think it's just good scouting and good team construction. That you find and identify players that play a certain way, that and you get those guys that are accepting of their roles. And if you get them at the right time in their career, where where they're a little bit younger, they're going to be cheaper. It's when they now have success in a Stanley Cup run and win a Stanley Cup is when perhaps they're going to get a bigger payday, and and then maybe they're going to have to find the next Will Carrier or the next Keegan Kolazar. So when you have them, it's just you hope you can strike and win the cup when you have them and they're a little bit cheaper.
With that perfect mix, it's funny because like the regular season is for the analytics community. The postseason, it's guys that end up being difference makers that are like anti-analytics. I know Larry Brown, the former Sixers coach, was on Mikey Mist's podcast yesterday, and he's had this quote about analytics. He said, "Analytics are how a drunk uses a lamppost for support, not illumination."
That's great. That is great.
That is great. Yeah.
And I imagine he delivered it like in the sleepiest tone on planet Earth. But I love that guy. Boosh, the save that Aiden Hill makes in game 1. Against the grain, a double below the slot line pass. His body is flowing way out of the net, and he just reverses the paddle, gets the heel on it on Nick Cousins. That save was unbelievable. It was very Braden Holtby that won back when the Caps won the cup. Talk about the goaltender and what it feels like to go through that and make that save, and then what it does to the goalie after he makes that save. He is chesty.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those moments where that's the thrill of being a goaltender, is like you want to have an effect on a game, and you can be the last line of defense, and you can have such an impact with a save like that. That's what's so fun about it. But truthfully, I mean, it in a lot of ways it's a lucky save. I mean, because his footwork, he got all crossed up. I mean, they changed sides 2 times on that play. So it's hard. I mean, you go from your left to your right, and then back from your right to your left, and then it goes back. You know what I mean? So
the most spectacular saves are usually the goalie screwing up beforehand.
Yeah. So I mean, his footwork was poor there, and then it's just desperation at that point. You stick your arm out, you stick, and you hope for the best. That's really what it is. And for Cousins, boy, he had 2 whacks at it. It's not only the save that he made, but Pietrangelo after got a stick on it and got it out of harm's way. So 2 plays by Hill and Pietrangelo, and sometimes those are the moments that change everything. If Cousins scores there, and they hit 2 posts in that game as well, Barkov down the left wing, and then Montour from the point. If any of those posts go in, plus the Cousins goal, maybe game 1's an entirely different story. That's why I say game 1 I thought was a lot closer than it appeared. But yeah, I mean that's just one of those moments. And for Adin Hill, I mean, since he came in for Laurent Brossoit in the Edmonton series, I constantly have been saying that the reason why he's a story is because he's not a story. He plays on a team where they insulate him well. They keep stuff to the outside. They'll give up those shots from the outside, but they will clean up the loose change, and you don't get very many second and third chances. And it's a system that works very well for a goaltender. So I wasn't giving him much credit, earlier, but now after games 1 and 2, I feel like there were moments in these games where, if not for Adin Hill, things could have been totally different. So I give him full marks for what he's done here through games 1 and 2. Game 1 could have gone totally different if he doesn't make that save. And in game 2, there was a stretch where it was still, I think the score was still, might have been 2-0.
Yeah.
And they had Florida had a power play at the end of the first, and he came. Oh, so it was 1-0, and he came up big. I think they had 6 shots on goal, and I thought he was great. So full marks to Adin Hill. Hadn't played in 2 months when he came into that series against Edmonton, and you shut down McDavid and Draisaitl. Come on, I mean that's amazing stuff.
Harry, you saw the Adin Hill save. I'm going to put this save up against it. You tell me better save in NHL history. All right, you ready? Mm-hmm. So the Adin Hill save, but how about this save right here from our guest right here on the program? Let's go to it. Play and Jones shot was blocked. Here's Elias with speed, short-handed. Oh. And he loses the bucket.
Now I got to go this one, man. That's Patrick Elias.
Yeah,
oh, it's fantastic.
Did you hear Jonesy?
Yep.
You can hear the live mic there at ice level. He
turns it over.
He throws out an F-bomb.
So watch it again, Harry. As the puck's going right around the red line, you hear an F-bomb, and that is Jonesy because he's way behind the play. And Jones shot was blocked.
That is spectacular.
Is that great or what?
I missed that the first time. That's awesome. Hey, looking at the goaltending on the other side, Boosh, I imagine I don't know if it's been announced yet, but I imagine they go back to Bobrovsky for game 3, even though he was pulled. But he's having a lot of trouble with screens. What does Florida have to do to help out their goaltender going forward?
Yeah, I mean, part of the screens is like, the goalie's got to do a job there too. I mean, I never wanted my D-man engaging with the opposition player in front of me, because now that's 2 bodies I got to look around. So it can create more problems. So Bob's got to do a better job of, if Mark, like on the Marchessault goal on power play, if Stone's there, okay, I know he's there. I got to find a way to look above him and look around him, right? So part of it's on Bob. The other part, though, is that I think Florida needs to do a better job. If they're in the shooting lane, block the puck, block the shot. Like it's not good enough just to kind of be there. Like, this is the Stanley Cup final. You need blocks. Look at Vegas; they block shots. You know what I mean?
Top blocking team in the league.
Yeah, I mean they block shots. So if you're there, block it. Like the one goal that White Cloud scored in game 1. Duclair got caught down low as they got in an odd man rush situation. He got stuck behind the goal line, and then the puck went to the point, and he didn't get out enough. He got caught in no man's land. He ended up screening his goalie there. Like Duclair, maybe he's tired late in the shift, but he's got to get out there. He's got to get out there and get in the shooting lane. It's not good enough just to sit back and hope. You're screening your goaltender. So I think that's the problem though. When you sit for 10 days, that's the area of the game where your momentum is lost, maybe that extra effort that you give.
It's a detail.
It's a detail. It's just a little off.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And they've got to find a way to get engaged again and make sure that they're blocking shots, making it hard for Vegas to get pucks through. But Bob has to do a job too. It's not just on everybody else. He's got to find a way to look through that screen in front and make the saves. I thought in game 1, I thought he was good. Game 2, I'm not going to totally pin it on him because it's not. It's just he's unfortunately the guy that takes it on the chin. But he's got to play a role too in looking past some of those screens.
And we get a message here from Ryan Mulhern, says Boosh and Mert love it. Oh, Mully watching on the program today.
Mully, yeah,
he wasn't a bad little player.
Yeah,
he wasn't little.
He's one of those guys. He never blocked a shot. He doesn't block shots either. In the skate that we have on Thursday nights there in Newport.
No, he didn't. He was taking a lot of the shots. You played beer league with Mully. I grew up playing with him at Malvern and in club hockey and everything. And he got a few games in the NHL. So,
oh yeah.
Went to Pride of Brown University. I think he's in their Hockey Hall of Fame up there at Brown.
Yep.
So.
Yep. He's got some real good American League stories too. So yeah, he was a good player in the American League. Should have kept playing.
I hope he's in better shape than his brother. I played with his brother Robbie recently, and boy, he looks like hell. But anyway,
we all look like hell these days. Come on,
comparatively speaking. Oh, look at he goes, love the chirp. I'm a better goalie that Boosh these days. Does he get in net? Does Mully get in net, Boosh? I know you skate out at times.
He does. Yeah, that's when I start to light it up when he's in goal. He can't go down. He's old school. He stands up the whole time
because he can't get back up.
Can't get back up. Yeah.
We had another question in here from Joey B regarding Bedard, obviously selected number 1 by the Blackhawks. How high is his ceiling, and is Chicago the right spot for him?
I mean, I've watched him play probably 10 times, and I thought if you look at what he did in the World Juniors, if that's any barometer, compared to other guys, his numbers are astounding compared to some of the best players that have played for Team Canada. So I think he's a generational talent. Now, the only thing I'm a little nervous about is his size. I mean, he is a smaller guy, and I don't, as a center, like that could be a little bit difficult at the NHL level. So that's my only hiccup, maybe question mark. I wonder, but man, he's quick, he's sturdy, he's unbelievable hands. He's electric, and looks like he's going to be a generational talent, a guy that's going to put up north of 100 points on a consistent basis. That's what I see. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm an amateur scout and can predict the future. Just looking at what he did the World Juniors, it seems like he's got a very high ceiling. And is Chicago the best place for him? Probably going to be a little bit difficult at the start because they're not going to be a playoff team. But now that you get Bedard, now you can attract some free agents there. They're going to have money to spend. Chicago's a great city to play in, great history there with the recent 3 Stanley Cups here. It's a great place. It's not like you're getting drafted and you're going, I hate saying this, but like Arizona, where, this team is playing in a college rank and the future of them is in flux. This is a great city, a great market. He's going to be marketable there. It's going to be a win-win for everybody.
That's it. In Arizona, when Boosh was there, Harry, he's got the NHL record that'll never be broken. How many minutes, Boosh?
332 minutes and 1 second, but who's counting,
Yep. Of shutout hockey. I think you guys won 17 games that year, and you won 5 straight and didn't give up a goal.
Did we win 17? No way. Oh my God, I didn't know that.
I mean, you set that record behind a dog shit team. We saw the clip and we heard the F-bomb from Jonesy as Elias is going up the ice. What are your thoughts on the front office? You and I have spoken about it offline, but you obviously know Jonesy very well from all your years. Danny very well. They were teammates of yours, and you were in pretty close contact with those guys. The move that happened yesterday, Provorov, not a chalk move to make your first one. By the way, he does it during the Cup final, and makes this 3-team trade. What are your thoughts on Danny and Jonesy as running the front office for the Flyers?
Well, Danny, I'll start with Danny. Danny, a great player and a smart a smart guy. And, like I think about his career, and everybody just thinks like, oh, here he was, this, top player, in Buffalo and in Philly. But what people don't realize that this guy, when he was drafted first round, I think he was 96 a year after me. He, he really struggled out of the gate in Phoenix.
He was waived.
He was waived. And, like, I guess the point that I'm going to make here is like, I just respect guys that have had to go through it and they've had to eat it a little bit, and you get through on the other side, you show a resilience to you. So like I have immense respect for Danny Briere. And then, then to turn into the player that he turned into, a really, really good NHL player that impacted, the teams he played on. So, and a smart guy, like you could always tell he was studying players, systems, what other teams are doing, how we could get better. He always, he was quiet, but he had an opinion. If you talk to him, you could tell that there was a real good hockey mind there. So not surprised that he's in this position. I think it's great. And as far as Jonesy's concerned, he might be the smartest hockey guy I've ever met. And he comes across as this guy that's kind of like, shucks, I know he plays it off like he's not really paying attention. But this guy is a savant. And I've worked with him at NBC. I've seen him in the studio. This guy could watch 4 games at the same time, break down the 4 games simultaneously, build packages, and set everything up. And a great teammate would hand them off to other guys in the studio so that they could look like they were the geniuses when in fact he was the guy that was doing it all. And he reads people well. He knows what it takes to build a team because he's watched it for several years as an analyst now, 2 decades. And to me, it's a great hire. I just think I think Jonesy's going to be a great leader up at the top. I think Danny's a smart guy. And look, I mean, the trade they made yesterday, this is the start of what they want to do. And Danny making his mark. And they've got to make changes. This team has to find a way to kind of reshuffle the deck. And it's an important franchise for the National Hockey League. And when the Flyers are relevant, it's good for everybody. And my hope is that they can get this thing turned around here in short order.
Wow. High praise. Love it. Jason, why don't you ask him about that list?
All right. So, Bush, I got this list that I found on social media. ESPN did a ranking of the top 60 sports according to difficulty. So they have all these different categories that they kind of go through, endurance, just all the different elements of what can go into, making a sport difficult. So like they have I think 9 different categories, and then they do like an aggregated score of all of it. Reflexes, nerve, durability, all that stuff.
Strength, power, speed, agility, flexibility, all
but
that.
Where's hockey?
Stuff.
Where do you think hockey would come in the 60 sports? Where should it come in, Bush? And don't even hesitate with your answer. Stop with this building up drama.
It's got to be top 5. I mean, just the idea to skate is
it's 3 sports in one.
Yeah, people can walk, people can run, but people can't skate. Like it's just another skill that you got to learn to just even participate in the sport.
And you can skate faster than you can run, and you can also stop moving your legs when you're skating really fast and hit somebody into a wall that doesn't move.
Right.
Boxing was number 1. You ever do any boxing training, Bush?
No, I can't say that I have, but I would see that as being really difficult. I mean, how long is their rest in between rounds?
Was it 90 seconds? 2 minutes?
90?
I'm not sure.
Look, and their rounds are 3 minutes?
Yeah.
I think 3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so do something for 3 minutes at a high pace and see if your 90-second rest and you can recover and do it again at the same pace you did. That's a tough sport.
Fight for your life.
Then never mind, you can get your head kicked in,
Right.
Yeah, why is UFC not on here, Howard? Did you see that anywhere?
MMA's got to be on here somewhere.
That's got to be that. Think about that.
That should be number 1, but honestly.
Yeah, that you can get choked out. That you can get kicked.
Armbarred.
Martial arts is 6th on the list after wrestling.
But I think that's like judo and stuff. Like wrestling's brutal as well. And we're not talking about like WWE. Like
yeah. Yeah, I've never
Greco-Roman
wrestled
wrestling.
Where's hockey?
2.
Number 2.
Ahead of football, basketball, and wrestling.
Oh, good. I mean, I thought you were gonna tell me it was like something like number 15 or something like that, and I was gonna go wild. But yeah, I mean that's appropriate.
Now 15 is rodeo steer wrestling.
The hell is that?
That's where you get off the horse and you gotta rope
the calf.
Oh yeah. You can tell I'm not from out west. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Us boys in Rhode Island, we don't handle the horses and cattle that much. You know.
I think the number 11 one may be one of the most difficult too. Water polo. You're treading water and that's so much strength to like stay up and with your lower body and upper body. Mm-hmm. Those dudes can hum it too. You should be a goalie in water polo, Boosh.
Oh, I need to play that in a 3 foot of water is where I would play water polo. That's about it. Jesus. Oh, I'll tell you a funny story about, because you have to tread water there, right? When I was my rookie year, maybe my second year in the NHL, and I was injured, and Jimmy McCrossan, the athletic trainer, would have us do rehab, and we'd go to a pool, and it was me, Rick Tocchet, Dan McGillis, Luke Richardson. We were all injured at the same time, so we go to the pool and do some pool stuff, and we used to do this thing where we tread water, for see how long you could do it for, right? It's kind of like a competition, and we sit there, we're treading water, and we shoot the shit and stuff like that. But then we do it where we put a weight vest on. So
it's like SEAL training.
Yeah, exactly. So we put a weight vest on there and we try to tread water. And I was trying to hang in there because we're all competing against one another.
You got Taco's
right at the last second, I like the water's like right to my nose. I'm like, help! And I go down. I go down to the bottom of the pool, and Jimmy goes down there. He gets the vest off me. We come up, and I'm just screaming at him. I'm like, you son of a bitch! I almost died. You know what I mean? But we did that for for rehab purposes. But imagine that's your sport, like you're treading water the whole time, trying to.
No.
It's crazy, but
Toc's doing it with one hand, like chilling out, like talking because he's all animated. He's such a machine.
That guy was a machine. He used to do like the the stairs. What is that machine called?
Stairmaster.
Yeah. Where it's like the gauntlet though. It's like where the stairs keep coming. You know what I mean? It's not like one of those steppers. It's like where the stairs keep coming. He would get on that thing and he'd go with like 25-pound dumbbells, and he'd be like, like going up the stairs and doing like shoulder presses. I was like, what an animal. Like he was in great shape. Like he's still in great shape. If you see him, he's ripped.
Yeah.
Boosh, enjoy South Florida. Did you hit him straight the other day? Did you put a good score on the card? Harry wants to know if you come back to town,
Where'd you play?
We played in Vegas. This place called Canyon Gate. My play-by-play guy, John Allers, he set it up. It was a decent course, pretty good. Weather was great. It was like 90, 97, dry. I did not play that good. Rentals, no excuse, but I think I shot 87, which is a really bad score for me. I got to be better than that. But I haven't, truth be told, I haven't played,
10-day layoff, Boosh. You don't have the edge like the Florida Panthers right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I got to get it going though. I got a bunch of tournaments I'm playing member guests with some buddies. I'm America's guest this summer. I'm playing with Justin Williams.
He's a player, man.
Yeah.
He won the White Marsh Championship.
He's at White Marsh, right?
Club, yeah.
Well, he belongs to a club down in Raleigh, so I'm playing down there. I'm going to be there for 2-3 days playing with him before the draft, and then
Wakefield.
What's that?
Is he at Wakefield?
Is it Old Chatham? I think it is.
Oh, that's in Durham. Yeah, they had the U.S. Open qualifier there the other day.
Yeah. So it's probably a go track or whatever, but yeah.
No, it's not.
No, I can't wait. He can play. Willie can play. I'll be there, and then I got another one in July back in Rhode Island, and then another one in August with a buddy of mine in Rhode Island. So it's gonna be a fun summer for me.
Yeah, dial in the game. Hey, Boosh, thanks for doing this, man. Enjoy the cup tonight.
Yeah, right, man.
Yeah, you bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
There he is. Former NHL netminder Brian Boucher. Always great to get him on. Great stories.
He's a great analyst. He's really good, man.
Awesome job. Rick Tocchet, I could just imagine Tocchet at that point. Like he was so physically fit. He just there, Not even using the arms.
Not even phased.
With his leg. Yeah.
Yeah, not even phased.
Freak. Physical freak. Let's tell people about Fudge Kitchen, Harry.
I will. The official sponsor of Not For Long Media and the OG's podcast, the original Fudge Kitchen. You know it, a staple of the Jersey Shore. Jersey Shore, a season is in full effect right now. You got to go visit one of their 6 locations: Cape May, Wildwood, Stone Harbor, Ocean City. They make all their fudge and sweet treats right in the store. It's going to guarantee a delicious product. Stop by and let them know that Not For Long sent you. If you're not able to visit in person, it's not a problem. They're going to ship it right to you all across the USA. FudgeKitchens.com, the original Fudge Kitchen, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. That was some great hockey breakdown, man. I expect that out of you. That's what you do all day. I got to give myself a little pat on the back. I think I hung.
Oh,
Harry, in that conversation.
You did not come off like a fourth line plug in that conversation at all.
Yeah, I wasn't
a top
Pat
sixer.
Egan. Yeah, I was not Pat Egan.
Yeah, you were a top 6 winger. You skated your wing very nicely. See, your whole thing about that nobody cares about hockey, it's all bullshit because you care about hockey probably as much as I do.
Oh, that's not true. But let's get back to this list here because hockey being number 2, you're outraged because you think it should be number 1.
Yeah.
2 out of 60 ain't bad. I got to tell you, I'm just glad that my sport of choice, golf, came in ahead of both bowling and fishing because those are the 3 sports that you can drink your face off and still participate in. How about that?
Yeah, I think golf got a little shorted here, though. It came in at 51. I think golf, it may not be physically, durability, endurance, and all that wise brutal, although it can be, on a course, walking and stuff like that.
In the heat, yeah.
Yeah, but
mentally.
The you against the golf course element, and then if you're a tournament golfer, you against the field element.
Right.
I mean, the margin from the greatest players in the world to the 250th player is like 0.12 of a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
That's how tight it is.
But yeah, and also the downtime in between shots where you're in with your own thoughts. People don't think I don't know if there's a category where you could really quantify that, but there's a lot of that, that comes into play there. But I'm just glad we beat bowling and fishing.
Yeah. Well, now, Harry, the big news the other day, it came out of the blue that the LIV Tour and the PGA Tour are merging just a couple of days after Phil Mickelson roasted Rory McIlroy on social media. Said, he'd be a perfect guy to play and LIV because he's too tired and stuff, but we wouldn't have him because he's too much of a pain in the ass. Nobody would deal with his crap. But now they're merged. Your thoughts on the LIV PGA merger, which we didn't see coming in the offing?
I'm still trying to process this. My head is still spinning. I did the Swing It and Ding It this morning, and we had Gerald Colton on, of course, player, agent, attorney extraordinaire, and we were talking about some of the details of this stuff. And I have more questions than I do opinions or answers, but I'm blown away by it, as everybody is. I think at some point you get down to the end of the finish line, and you're going to sit there and say, well, at least now we're back to having all the best players available to play in the same golf tournaments. And the acrimony between the two sides, will dissipate. I know there's some of the guys are pissed off, from the PGA Tour because they feel like they missed out on the bag. They were offered a bag and chose to stay loyal to the PGA Tour because guys like Rory McIlroy and the commissioner were telling them to do so. They did it. And now they look at guys like Brooks Koepka, and you're like, well, wait a second.
He got $500 million.
He's been playing in the majors. He got himself a 5th major, and he took the money. And, what are you going to do for me? So I get that.
A penalty, right, for those guys?
Yeah, I think it hasn't been worked out yet. But, submit to be, back on the PGA Tour. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I imagine they're going to have to pay like some sort of a fine or a suspension or both or whatever. I don't know how this gets all worked out, but man, I'm blown away. I'm stunned by it. The timing of it. the timing of it tells me that somebody was going to break it, and they didn't want it broken. They wanted to do it themselves. It came out on CNBC of all places, and I thought it was fake news. Given today's social media, you got to really be careful about retweeting stuff like this or commenting on it, because you don't know if it's real. And then when I realized it was real, I'm like, holy shit, like, really? And Tiger Woods didn't even know about it. Rory didn't know about it. Greg Norman didn't even know about it, who runs the Live Tour. At least he did. I don't know if he does anymore.
How does something like that
incredible.
Get kept secret so much like that?
That's amazing. In this day and age, as you like to say. So I'm still trying to process it, but man, it's going to overshadow this week's event easily, and probably next week's U.S. Open.
But it creates a lot of buzz going into that U.S. Open just because it's top of mind.
No doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it. So
yeah, that's for sure. It's going to be like an $82 parking ticket and filing fees, $101 to get back at your PGA card for those guys who jumped for $200-500 million to go to Live.
Right. No doubt about it.
I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I think so too.
Last thing, like Joey B puts this up here. He says, "How bad is the smoke there in Philly, South Jersey? Looks horrible from TV shot on the news." I went outside last night at about 10 o'clock after I got done doing a bunch of radio and different hits on podcasts because of the trade. And I'm like, it's almost smelled like an electrical fire, like when electric is burning. And I'm like, what? Did my son do something? And I go outside to walk the dog, and it's really smoggy. These Canadian wildfires, the smoke is affecting all down the East Coast, including our area. Our air quality right now in the Delaware Valley is not at peak capacity. Are you smelling the wildfires there at the home studio?
You know, I played golf in it yesterday over at Lulu, and I didn't even notice it. The only reason that I knew it, the air quality was down, is because my iPhone told me so. They sent out some warning. I got a text message and, you know, all this stuff. And on the weather app and on the phone, it says air quality warning. I'm like, what's that all about? I didn't even know. Am I
getting oxygen or not?
Yeah, I didn't even notice it, to be honest with you. So,
yeah.
But
I was talking to one of my buddies up in Canada last night, and I said to him, get this thing under control up there. What are you guys doing up there?
I didn't know it was Canadian. I didn't know it was Canadian.
It's I think that the wildfires that are affecting us are in Ontario.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, maybe because the Leafs didn't got bounced in the playoffs in 5 by Florida.
There you go. That's a good reason. It's a good reason to burn down the forest. Joey B, Tiger Woods should be the new commissioner of the PGA Tour. I disagree. I think Davis Love would be a perfect choice.
Davis Love the third, right?
Davis Love the third. Yeah. I don't know that Tiger would even want to do something like that. He's got a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah, why? I mean, that seems like a lot of aggravation for a dude with endless money.
Yeah. Exactly.
If I got endless money, I am not looking to take on an aggravation position.
No, absolutely not.
You know what I mean?
Now, can you pull up this tweet that I sent you? Actually, Sean Brace put it up at Fox Philly Gambler.
Yep.
I sent it to you. It's from an account called @VegasIssues, which I didn't know about. But you got to pull up the picture in order to really talk about this.
All right, I got the there's the Nahagan tweet I sent you. Here's the one from Sean.
Yeah.
Move this over here, huh?
Yeah.
Juggling screens around here.
Yeah.
Loading. All right, here we go. Let me just click on the actual tweet, and then let's share the screen here. Here we go. Share screen. This program gets produced as we go.
Sure.
So here we go. Here's the tweet from the Las Vegas issue. Would you like to read it, Harry?
Yeah. A Nevada sex worker retired at the age of 76 after 54 years of satisfying 500,000 clients, including 4. How many? 4 American presidents. Your thoughts?
That's a hell of a number. That's like 20 a day.
Is it? You did the math, right?
Somebody did in the comments I saw calling bullshit on it because the first one, the Kingster replied at Kingster tweets and said it will require having a new client every 30 minutes for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 54 years with no days off to reach 500,000.
Well, I'm glad somebody went through the math because that's too much for me. But yeah, when I look at these numbers, it's sort of like when Wilt Chamberlain, it was rumored that he had been with X amount of women, or John Holmes
10,000,
or whatever.
I think it was.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, seriously. But a lot of people are saying, well, the presidents, they're guessing at the presidents, and they're saying JFK, and I'm like, JFK was long deceased before this woman allegedly began her illustrious career, so he's out of the picture.
So
who were the four you thought of? Obviously, Bill Clinton. We know that.
Oh yeah. I mean, if this woman serviced that many people, she is obviously really good and efficient at her job, Harry.
Yes.
So she's probably got a reputation of, like, when you go to Vegas, you got to track her down because she's got some sort of skill set that not many people possess. So yeah, Clinton is obvious.
Yeah.
You think, what about Jimmy Carter or Reagan?
I can't say Jimmy Carter, man.
Jimmy Carter was a peanut farmer, huh?
Yeah, I mean, come on. He was as wholesome as it gets. I don't see him skipping out in Vegas to.
Could you see Reagan meeting this broad?
Well. See, because listen, this could have happened long before he was president.
Well, he was
like he was an actor, and then he was the governor of California. So I could throw Reagan in there as a definite possibility. Then it gets tough though. After that, do you go Bush 41 or Bush 43?
I would go George 43. Herbert.
Me too.
Walker Bush.
Me too. No, Herbert Walker.
That was the dad.
41.
W. I'm thinking of W. W. I think was in the mix.
Okay, I would put him in there too. Now, who's the fourth? Because you're only dealing with, is it Trump? Because she was pretty darn old by the time now, but that could mean Trump did it in the 80s before he was the president.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing.
It doesn't quantify whether it was, were they president at the time?
At the time, right.
So
that's the key thing.
You got to go Trump.
Right.
I mean, that seems obvious, but yeah, the four I'll say, Harry, are Bill Clinton. I did not have the whole thing. And then you've got George W. Bush. 43.
Yep.
And obviously
Reagan, you said.
Reagan, and then Trump.
I agree.
Yeah.
Those would be my four.
Yeah.
Lyndon Johnson? I don't know. Nixon? No.
What about Gerald Ford, Harry?
Oh, jeez. I forgot he was president.
Yeah.
He was only in there for a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, but he was deemed a president. He could have been out there in Vegas.
I don't know.
Gerald Ford could be in that mix too. He could be the wild card here.
I forgot about him, to be honest.
He was actually president for 3 years, 74 to 77.
Well, I mean, technically 76 was the end of the term. 77 January is when they changed, but to Carter. But yeah,
from California, Rancho Mirage, California, not far from Vegas.
Yeah, he was a football player at Michigan.
Yeah,
back in his day.
Yeah,
maybe.
But
who are you booting out then? Who do you skip out?
I would probably take
Reagan?
out. No, the actor thing. California, they got in the proximity. Bush, Texas. So I would probably take out W.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I could see W on a guy's weekend before he was like anything. Getting a little. He apparently did some cocaine back in the day. I mean, he was a partier.
Yeah,
he was a partier.
Him and Jeb,
Jeb
Bush.
Yeah, Jeb's. He's the life of the party.
Also known as the runt of the Bush litter.
Exactly.
Oh,
God.
Oh, Joey B with a great line. I always use this. He said 500 clients as a call girl. That's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God.
Holy shit. That's great. Yeah. Anything else you want to get to, Harry?
I'm trying to think. Is there anything?
We certainly covered a lot. Do you have thoughts on the Provorov trade?
Well, I would ask you because what did they get back? Who are those guys? Is there any value there, or is it just basically to move on from a salary?
I think that's part of it, but I think the return was actually really good, and the 3-team aspect of it made it better. So you get a 22nd overall pick in this year's first round.
Okay, so you got 2 picks now in the first round.
7 and 22. Provorov's going to be a free agent after not next year, 2 years left on his deal, and he wasn't going to resign here. Wasn't happy. I don't know if he's going to re-sign out there in Columbus with Mike Babcock either. He's not going to be a top pairing guy because of Werenski. Not going to see power play time because of Werenski. But you were going to end up losing him eventually for nothing. And if you trade a guy with a little bit more meat on the bone as opposed to being in the final year, you can get the kind of return that Briere got. Mm-hmm. But then also, the Kings retain 30% of his money. Flyers take on a couple of dumps with Walker and Cal Peterson there and end up with a second round pick next year. And I think Danny did really well in the trade. But the thing is the addition of Cal Peterson, and there was a lot of smoke yesterday, Harry, not wildfire smoke, regarding Carter Hart being moved as well.
Wow.
So that gives me a lot of anxiety.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
He finally got a goal. He's 24.
I know.
There's a lot of risk in trading him, dude.
Yeah, I know. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
All right. Way too much hockey talk for this episode.
We certainly met our June quota.
Yeah. But Boosh was great, man.
Yeah. He's a great guy. Good analyst. Just
yeah.
Good, wholesome boy from Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
Woonsocket.
His son was a first-round draft pick, too, trying to make his way to the NHL. Tyler, big boy, kind of like Tom Wilson.
Oh, wow.
Well, he hits some guys. I'll get some message from Boosh, and my boy put a guy through the glass, and he's a wrecking ball.
Beautiful.
So, all right, let's wrap it up there. That's episode 64 of the Odd G's podcast. We did a solid 56 minutes today, so I'm proud of ourselves. We're going to take the rest of the day off. You golfing
I'm
today?
exhausted. I've done 2 podcasts. I've had 2 phone calls about buying a business. And I've wrote and recorded a commercial for a vodka brand. I'm done today.
Wow. Lima, when she gets home, will see a sense of accomplishment on Harry's face.
Exactly right. While I'm watching the NBA.
And she's making your sandwich.
Yeah, sandwich. All right.
All right. That's episode 64. Everybody leave us a 5-star rating and review. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next week on a brand new Odd G's podcast.